DreAllDay.com.
What's up, y'all? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. I know y'all saw part 1 of Jacob answering the questions in this video. For part 2, I told him just go ahead and answer all the questions in one video. We'll just make it one long video because I know most of you have questions that other people will ask. So you can listen to not only your question and the answer, but also the answer to all the other questions. Because I heard basically every question I've ever been asked about vertical jump was asked to Jacob in the comments to that video in which I told you guys to leave questions. So everything you want to know about vertical jump, somebody asked it, Jacob answered it. So go ahead and check this video out. If you want to get the jump manual, the link to the jump manual program is right there below this video. We ain't gonna waste too much time talking. I'm gonna let Jacob get to doing his thing. Y'all gonna listen to these answers. You're gonna go do your thing. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Again from Dre All Day. This is Jacob Hiller from the jumpmanual.com. Jumpmanual.com. I am here to answer some of your questions, and just want to say I'm impressed by your questions, by your interest, by the way that people are absorbing this and just going out and using it right away. Obviously, you are people who want to change your game, who want to improve your physical prowess, who want to dominate the enemy. So I'm going to jump right into more of your questions. This video might get a little long because I'm going to try and answer as many questions as I can. I've already tried to type you guys responses. So if you have those, I'm going to try and expand on it a little bit here. But keep the questions coming. If something doesn't make sense to you, if you disagree with me, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. So just answer your questions here, and we'll continue to reply to them. One of the questions I got from several people was, is your program better than such and such program? You know, and one of the things I got to say to you, if it doesn't have a serious strength component, if the repetitions are off the charts and you're doing lots of reps, we already know you're going to be training your endurance and not your explosive ability. If there's not a dietary element that's teaching you to use your diet to recover and get stronger and to improve your physical ability, that's going to be a big deal. Also, if there's not a technique, if they're not teaching you to actually move your body more efficiently and use the strength you already have to jump higher, you need to have that as well. I'm not going to go through specific programs. I'm not here to bash people's programs or anything like that. But with the principles that I could teach you, you can assess those programs without having to take my word for it. Obviously, I'm going to say my program is better than whoever's, but if we understand the principles, we don't have to go that route. We can actually be smart and make the right decision. Does it mess up your knees? I think we went over that in the last audio, but your knees are always taking a beating, whether you're playing basketball, whether you're jumping, whether you're training. So proper recovery, knowing how to properly space your training so that you're not only breaking down. You see, tendons take a lot more time to recover than muscles because there's less blood flow. See, blood flow is what causes recovery. That blood brings the nutrients, it brings the platelets, and helps your tissues to recover. And so your knees get injured when the tendons on your knees get small rips. And if you don't, you may think you're fine because your muscles feel great, but when your tendons over time, they will start to break down. So there are things you can do for your knees, and I think that might be a topic to go into in detail, which could take 10-15 minutes, all the different things you can do for your knees. I have a handout that I'm going to see if Dre wants us to give out. We can give you guys a handout that has like 10 different things you can do for your knees to help maintain and strengthen your knees. But the short answer to that is a lot of things can injure your knees if you're not continuing to take care of your knees, which you always have to do. Because proper training is going to get you results, and your biggest enemy is injury. Injury is your biggest enemy. Look at these playoffs right now. We got all these people injured. We got Ray Allen that's injured. We got a bunch. I'm kind of blanking on them now, but there's a lot of people injured. We got Dwight Howard that's injured. We got Derrick Rose that's injured. All these people, they're injured now, and at the end of the season is the prime time to be injured because all that muscular breakdown is compiling. Is there any chance to get in the program with a discount? We do have discounts, but not all the time. So you just have to keep an eye on it. Some guy said, hey, I can dunk a tennis ball. How long before I'm dunking? Well, with proper training, proper recovery, not overtraining, it won't take you that long. Obviously, you can dunk a tennis ball. It will take a little bit more if you can palm a basketball, which brings us to another question that we had. How do I palm a basketball? I have another handout for that we can give you, but again, fingertips, those are the keys to palming a basketball. If you palm along the seams, I feel like we covered some of these in the last video, so sorry if we're getting double take, but it's the fingertips that really give you your strength to palm a basketball, because that's where obviously you can't palm a ball with your palm. You've actually got to do it with your fingertips. Maybe they should call it fingertipping a ball. So obviously doing things like taking a ball and practicing squeezing it with the tips, also grabbing it along the seams so that there's a pair of seams here and a pair of seams at the bottom so that you can actually grip it. And it depends on the ball too. A smooth rubber ball that's dusty is going to be hard to palm. A ball with nice panels, that your hands are nice and clean and dry, and you've kind of got the feel for the ball, squeezing it back and forth, is going to be easier to palm. I have kind of small hands for a tall guy. I'm 6'3", 6'4", but my hands are the same size as my wife, who's 5'4", but I can palm a ball very well. So we'll also get that handout to even expand on that answer. One of the questions I had is weight training required to jump higher? And the answer to that is weight training is not required, but challenging your muscles is. And weights is an easy way to bring resistance to your muscles. There's a lot of things you can do that don't require weights. And in our program, we have created alternatives for every single exercise. So if you don't have access to a gym, that's fine. You can just use the body weight exercises and get her done and continue to improve upon that. I had another guy, let's see, Kakadarantula. So, sorry, this is continuing from my previous question. He says, I do 100 calf raises and 50 squats, every day in the morning, and I repeat it at night. Is this enough? He wants to know if this will be enough. Well, it depends how you're doing them. I mean, if you're just doing 100 calf raises, 50 squats with no resistance, and you're doing it every night, you're not getting any stronger. You're doing the same amount of weight. So the repetition isn't what makes you stronger. It's the challenge and the intensity that's going to make you stronger. So no, that's not going to do it, and you're not going to see results. And it's also going to depend on what kind of squat you're doing. So I would recommend if you have weights, you need to consistently get stronger. Getting stronger is going to make you feel lighter. Being lighter is obviously going to help you jump higher. So that is not enough to answer your question. Let's see, we got a guy from Australia. Keep going on. From Egypt. Oh, technique. So we've had several people ask about technique, and we do have a technique video series that we've got planned for you. So hold tight. It's probably going to be coming in about a week. You're going to have that whole series. You're going to be able to ask questions about the jumping technique. But jumping technique is for real, guys. I told you, I don't know if I told you, in college, I played basketball and I ran track. I was a long jumper. When I was a long jumper, your steps and how you jumped was extremely important. In basketball, nobody teaches you that. It's just not progressed to that stage. So I'm going to help you understand how to change your steps to actually jump higher. And there's a science behind that. We've got somebody saying, what about foam rolling? Is it necessary, to increasing your vertical leap? Well, foam rolling is a recovery technique. It's like a massage. Foam rolling helps you kind of get out the stubborn points in your muscle and increase the blood flow. So is it absolutely required? No, it's not required, but it is a technique that will help you recover because it gets the blood flow. And like we said, blood has the nutrients, it has the platelets. So when you can do the foam rolling, it's going to help you recover faster. It's also going to help the quality of the muscle to get out what's called trigger points of the muscle. So I do like foam rolling. It's easy to do. It hurts, but it is effective. Is it absolutely necessary? Well, no, it's not absolutely necessary or critical. But I would say you should do it if you can. But if you can't do it, don't worry. You're going to be fine. Let's see. I can only get a quarter of the net. Can this help me dunk if I use a program? Absolutely. That's what it's all about. So many people believe that they can't jump higher, that they've reached their genetic potential, that this or that. No. If I told you you could start, if you can only do 5 push-ups now, you can do 20, in a few months from now, it's true. If I told you bench press 100 now and you could bench press 150 later on, it's true. You can jump higher. Most people just go about it the wrong way. They go do 5 million calf raises and say, I can't jump any higher. I've already reached my potential. Well, you're not doing the right things. So once you're kind of enlightened on what those right things are, then you can do them and you can see those steady results. And they come slow and steady. People, don't expect to jump a foot higher by tomorrow, but it comes slow and steady. So how, I know the question is already coming, well, how fast does it come? Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you don't have any training, if your technique is horrible, you can gain a lot very quickly. A lot meaning several inches in a month's time. If you've already jumping very high, you're already increased your strength, you've already got great technique, then you're only gradually going to jump higher. And I will tell you, I've never met anyone who's reached their full jumping potential, including myself when I was jumping, and still am, but when I was at my very peak, I was jumping about 44 inches, and I could still keep pushing that. Never met anybody who can, even professional level athletes that we've worked with. They can always get better, and some of them surprisingly better. These people who have great genetics but have never really trained properly, they can go up very quick. I've had people come to me with a 38-inch vertical and very quickly put on another 4 inches faster than anyone would have thought they could. So it's hard to give you an exact amount that you can gain, but you can definitely go slow and steady. You can see weekly improvements. What division of basketball I played? I believe it was Division III, small college in Iowa. Wasn't any good. Wasn't any good in college. I had a lot of skills, just no one ever noticed me. Wasn't any good. It wasn't until afterwards that I actually learned how to jump. In college, I couldn't even jump. High school, I couldn't even really jump. After my college years, I started doing this training, and I was dunking ridiculously, and still dunk ridiculously. And now I get hired to play in pro basketball exhibition games and things like that. So unfortunately, I didn't have this information, and I didn't have people like Dre all day. We didn't have YouTube when I was in high school. Insane, right? So it's really a blessing that you guys can draw from the talent of Dre or draw from other people's experience. So take it seriously, guys. So I have a problem with patellar tendinosis, says Nomads Films. Can I still work on training my vertical? Okay, well, if you're having problems with your knees, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't train, but it does mean that you've got to be very careful. There's a list of things that I can tell you guys to do for your knees. I mean, such as ice, such as massage, such as fish oil, such as different supplements, but avoid impact. So if you're going to jump on top of something. When you jump on top of something, you avoid the landing, and really that's the worst. Eccentric squats are also very good. Those are slow descending squats with no weight. Science has proven that this eccentric motion, meaning very slow kind of descending motion, is better for repairing tissue than a positive contraction going upwards. So there's eccentric squats that you can do. Also, you may be landing wrong, you may be jumping wrong, you may have bad exercise technique, and every time you go do that, for example, if you're jumping and your knees cave in a little bit, a lot of people do that. They jump and their knees cave in just a little bit. Well, every time that's going to tweak those tendons, and over time they're going to get damaged. So correcting your technique is important. You can do water workouts. So, I mean, if you're having problems with your knees, you want to avoid impact, you want to avoid things that cause extreme pain, and start that recovery process. So that's very important. So let's see. Somebody says here, why no white people can jump high? Well, it's not true. A lot of white people jump high. A lot of black people jump high. I've seen a lot of people from every culture jump high. And I've seen, surprisingly, when I was in Africa for quite a while, the first thing I did when I went to work with a team was I'd always test the vertical. And I was the white guy, and they were all the black people. And obviously this is what I do for a living, but I always had the highest vertical with them. And so they would always laugh because it was always the joke that the white guy can't jump, which obviously is not true. But what was also funny is that I was also the guy that had the lowest reach. Those guys' arms are so long where I was. I mean, so a lot of these guys could dunk, but it wasn't because they were jumping higher necessarily. It's because they had super long arms. So that's not always true. But anyways, the moral of this story is anybody can jump higher. You're a white boy, whether you're black, you're Asian, I don't care what you are, you can increase your vertical leap. So this guy says, I know it was an example, but I run long distances in track. Does that affect my explosiveness? It can. If you're running long distance all day, one, you're training your muscles for endurance, which is, that's fine, but and if it's not allowing you to train your explosiveness, so if you're so fatigued from your distance running that your legs are flat when you go to train your jumping in the gym, that's going to be a problem. And also, if you go train in the gym your explosiveness, and then the next day you go run 10 kilometers or whatever it is, it's gonna hinder your recovery. So those three things: you're giving your muscle more endurance stimulation. 2, your legs are flat and not able to train explosively. And 3, your recovery is not as good as it could be. So, can you post a video of what you do in the jump manual? There's a lot of things we do in the jump manual. We have over 150 HD videos that are in the jump manual. So we can't post it all here, but we can definitely start to teach you the principles. A lot of people are saying, well, just show me the exercises. Well, the exercises aren't necessarily the most important thing. It's how you do them and your understanding of what will make you jump higher. So understanding the principles is actually the most important thing you can do, and that's what I want to teach you here. How much did my vertical improve from my theory, my jumping theory? Well, I started as somebody who was 6'3", and well, I could touch the rim, I could grab the rim, and then I moved on to somebody who could dunk. And for a long time, I stayed at the area where I could just dunk one-handed. And then even really through college, I could dunk two-handed a little bit. But it wasn't until after then that I applied these techniques. I went on this mission trip for 2 years, and I came back. And then afterwards, I trained for about 3 months doing these techniques. And I went from dunking, one-handed, barely two-handed, to just slamming at will. I mean, whether it was standing there, jumping, dunking, doing reverse. I was about this far from the free throw line, and then I just kept going to where I was able to get my head to the rim, and just got better and better and better. And all the stuff I did before that time just got me little increases. I did all the programs. I had strength shoes, I had air alert, I had plyometrics, I had what my track and field coaches gave me, I had what my basketball coaches gave me. I did the stair running, I did the ankle weights, I did everything I could. But it wasn't until I actually started doing the right things, and I actually educated myself, and I came up with this plan, and I did it, that it was just like, wow, what if I had done this since I was in junior high? Because I was doing these jump programs even before then. I bought programs out of Slam magazine before you could even buy them on the internet. I was buying them and doing them, and I was just a lot like you guys. So why can some people naturally run faster and jump higher? Well, some people are naturally stronger. They have more muscle than you. Some people have better muscle than you, so meaning they have faster twitch muscle fibers. Some people are naturally more coordinated, or because of their habits, they become more coordinated. So those people are going to jump higher than you. How do we know? It's hard to say if somebody's genetically gifted, but there are people who are genetically gifted, and there are people who, like myself, I was never a genetically gifted athlete. It was like, I always had to work at it. I mean, I did have decent genetics, but now people see me and they say, you've surely always been able to jump like this. Well, no, I haven't. I'm not one of those people. So we always want to say people who are gifted athletes are genetically gifted, but that's not always true. So let's see. I have at least a 38-inch vertical. That's very good. If you can standing jump 38 inches, that's fantastic. My question is, someone with a 38-inch vertical get less results than someone with a 24-inch vertical? I wouldn't say that's necessarily the case, but if that person is already trained, that person with 38 inches, if they've already done a lot of training, if they've already done a lot of those things, they won't get that initial big boost, but they can always continue progressing. People who have very little good training can really get a nice boost the first couple months, and it's a lot of fun. So I have a lot of people in these questions asking if it's safe to do weightlifting and to do that kind of stuff. And I will tell you that it is safe, and that people who say you're going to stunt your growth, that's a myth. And there's even some German studies that are done that say that lifting weights at a young age can actually help you to grow taller. I mean, look at guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and these guys. They were lifting at a very young age. So, I mean, you have these things in your bones. They're called metaphysis. And these are what your growth plates are. And basically, once they harden up, once they become hard, your bones will stop growing. But weightlifting is not going to make them stop or break them. The only thing that could possibly break them is if you like shattered them or fell and broke an arm. But even if you break an arm, you can still get it, put back in place and keep growing. People who break their arms, they don't like have a shrunk arm for their entire life. There's even doctors, there's even people who are still saying things like, they're just being conservative, because that's kind of the wives' tale. There's no cases of people who were lifting weights and were midgets or stopped growing or didn't reach their growth potential. It's just not the way it works. These growth plates, these physis plates at the end of your long bones, they don't just harden up, seal up and stop. So it's just not how it works. Okay, now we got a guy who says he's in practice, he's training, and he's got all these activities going on. Would that affect his recovery time? Yes, it very well could. How do you know? How do you know how much recovery time you need? That's kind of a recurring question throughout these questions as well. And I'll tell you the reason that you're going to know how to, whether you need more recovery is by tracking. Tracking is one of the most important things you can do. And that means every time you work out, tracking how high you're jumping. Whether you're doing plyometrics or whether you're doing weight, you need to know what you're doing. And if you see that you're not lifting as much weight as before, or you see that you're not jumping as high as you used to or running as fast as you were, then that probably means that you're breaking down your muscles and not recovering. And so if this is going on for several workouts, you need to know that it's time to recover. So something needs to give. This is called training economy. Obviously, if you're just working, there'll be some point where your body says, hey, I need to recover. And that point is different for everybody. It's not going to be the same for me as for you. Some people have higher tolerances, better diets, better sleep patterns, better genetics. So you have to track, and when you see it going down, you need to give yourself more recovery so that you can continue. See, what happens is you break your muscles down and they start to recover. But if you break them down again, they just keep going down. So you need to break them down and let them recover so you're actually stronger than you were before. Break them down again and let it recover again, and you just keep going up. So that breakdown and recovery process needs to be buffered, needs to be analyzed. It's really easy to do. Once you get used to tracking your workouts, you'll easily be able to see, this week I'm not jumping higher, and this week, so it might be time to improve my recovery. So somebody, Julio622611 says he wants to practice with me. Hey, where you, Julio? That sounds like a Mexican name, maybe. I'm in Mexico, so if you're around, let's ball, man. Let's see, what's your opinion about Air Alert 3? Already kind of covered that at the beginning. It's all about, let's see. This guy also says, I can grab the rim with both hands, but when I try to dunk, I always hit the front iron. What's the problem? Technique, lack of strength, lack of vertical? Well, if you grab it with rim with both hands, you might be able to dunk if you can palm the ball and get your technique down. But obviously, improving your strength, improving your technique, improving your vertical is going to make that a lot easier. So whether or not you can dunk right now, it's possible that you could with some proper help. But it never hurts to improve everything. And in most cases, you can improve everything. So I've got a guy saying, I live in England, and can you recommend any free programs that give me excellent results because I don't have a lot of money? DreAllDay.com, Dre Baldwin's YouTube channel, asking me questions. I mean, that's about the best you can get. Once you know the principles, you can start making your own program. Once you know the principles, you can figure out. You can go to a website, and if they're just not teaching you anything, telling you anything, you kind of got to go on faith. So getting educated is probably the best thing you could do. Another guy, we have Malik from the Hardwood Word. What is the proper recovery time, and what's the preferred jumping technique? We just went over the recovery time. And as far as jumping technique, that is going to be coming in about a week, I think. Let's see. How helpful is resistance in increasing the vertical aspect? So basically he's saying, is resistance training really important? Well, if you're not very strong, it's very important. And no matter how quick you get, your body will always be too heavy for you to jump very high. If you're already very strong, the resistance portion isn't as important as it is for other people. So the key is, though, is you have no excuses for not doing the resistance portion. So just do it. You can do kind of everything in one big ball. You don't have to pick and choose. Do I do resistance or do I not? You can do it, so do it. It's going to help. How do I work on explosive, fast twitch muscles and stay conditioned at the same time? That is a very good question. You have to make a balance. Obviously, you got to be doing your explosive training, and you can do your specific. So if you're a basketball player, for example, you're not going to go do solid state cardio, because that's not what basketball is. Basketball isn't the same. I ran cross country, and it's not the same as basketball. I could run 15 miles without stopping. When I got on a basketball court, I was switching muscle types back and forth. You're jogging down the court and then you're sprinting or you're jumping. So make sure that your conditioning is very specific to your activity. Having good solid state cardio is not necessarily going to help you play good defense, have endurance during the basketball game. So make sure that you're training dynamically and not just solid state cardio and explosively. So you'll do your explosive training, and then afterwards, I'd recommend doing it afterwards. You can do your sport-specific endurance training. Then you track your workout. So if that appears to be fine, that balance appears to allow you to jump higher and still train your endurance, then you can ramp it up or ramp it down, whichever you need to do. I like to use, let me grab this so you can see, I like to use this cardio monitor. So I put it on my wrist and it tells me what my heart rate is, and I can know what my heart rate is and improve that over time. So it's kind of a way to objectively train to increase your endurance. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's see. I do not have a gym to work out. That's fine. There's alternative exercises you can always do. So it's not the weights that are the key, it's the resistance. And so there's a lot of things you can do with body weight to increase the resistance and to get stronger. I'm going to pause this again, look at some more questions, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, continuing on, guys. Couple good questions here. Somebody says, I'm 135 pounds. Do I need to be a certain weight before I attempt the program? No, it's fine. Your body fat's important to know. It's more important to know than how much you weigh. So, your body weight's probably pretty low too. So, anyways, either way, you can start the program. You can do exercise. Even if you're overweight, you're underweight, whatever, you can still do the program. Now I've got a guy who's saying he's getting stronger, and he's doing squats, and he's doing all these stuff, he's getting stronger, but he's not jumping any higher. What's going on? It's getting depressing. Well, if you're getting stronger, but you're not jumping higher, it's probably a technique, a recovery, or a quickness issue. Because if you're doing a lot of weight training and you're not coupling it with sport-specific movements, it's hard to have that strength transfer over to the movement. So my recommendation is to always, when you're doing a strength work, couple it with sport-specific movements, because you're not doing weight training or resistance training for the sake of lifting a lot of heavy weight. You're doing it to become better at some specific movement, in our instance, jumping. So you always want to get better and teach your body, hey, I'm getting stronger to do this better, not just to get stronger. So, increasing your technique and making sure you're working on your quickness as well is going to help you use that strength in that sport-specific way. What are the best exercises to increase my vertical, weighted and non-weighted? So obviously we've talked about the muscles you need to work on. Your calves, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your core, and your shoulders. Those are basically what muscles help you jump higher. And so, based on your weaknesses, certain exercises could yield better results for you personally. But in general, jumping and something to increase your strength are probably going to be your most important. But, doing some type of plyometric jump, doing some type of heavy resistance squat type of activity, and if you can, also doing some type of jumping exercise with weights. So now you're kind of doing all three. But a lot of people ask, what's the best exercises? Well, my question is, why do you really need to know the best one? Because usually you can do a full program. You can do all of the ones that are going to help. And the ones that aren't your best exercise are still going to add up. So if there's 5 other exercises that aren't the best one, they could still add up to be fairly significant. So yeah, it's good to know what's the very important, what is the central kind of theme of your training, but also incorporate the small things so that you can kind of do it all together. If you're intending to become the best athlete you can be, don't limit yourself. How long are the workouts on average from the Jump Manual? They're usually between an hour and a half, depending on how chatty you are in the gym, and depending on how much rest time you need. Different people need different rest times, and we cover that in the manual, how much rest time you should take and how to figure that out. It's pretty easy. Let's see. This guy says, I have big calf muscles. I see many guys who can jump high, and I wonder, is it because of the calf muscles? It's not because of your calf muscles. I mean, calf muscles, because they're big, isn't necessarily a bad thing, could be a good thing. But calf muscles, although they are one of the muscles we work on to jump higher, they're not the most important one. So most guys, if they're jumping high, it's not only because of their calves. The calves can definitely give you a few inches, but they're not going to get people jumping over 40 inches with your calves alone. So let's see. I'm going to do one more pause, and then I'm going to get back at it. And I think I got most of the questions. Keep posting them though. I'm enjoying them. And let me just, okay, actually got most of the questions there. The other question was, is the speaker working? Well, I think last time only one, like the left side was working, so I'll make sure that this is, we'll see if we can get it to make both sides work. But either way, yeah, the sound is working, but if you're wearing headphones, maybe you only hear it at your left or your right hand side. We also had a question about diet, and diet is, I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's very important, because diet is what gives your body the necessary nutrients to recover and to get stronger. And so not only is what you eat important, but when you eat it is important. For example, when you work out, your body needs quick energy. So at that time, you're going to need to make sure you give it simple sugars during your workout. When you recover, your body also needs quick energy. If it doesn't have quick energy, it will break down things like muscles, or at least it will have to get that energy from another source. So right after your workout, it's important to get some fast, quick energy that your muscle has to, one, run your body, and two, start the recovery process. So after you work out, you can eat, a banana, you can, have a sports drink, get some simple sugars in you, and that simple sugar also helps your body to release insulin. And the insulin, combined with protein, if you take a protein shake or a protein source and you take it with that sugar, that insulin will start sending that protein into your muscles. So it's important during and after your exercise to make sure you provide your body with plenty of simple sugars. There are other nutrition camps who have other strategies. This is a strategy that I use, and it works for me, and it works for the athletes that I train with. So if you have another theory you want to bring on the board, let's talk about it. I'm always open to that. So otherwise, you definitely need to make sure you're eating plenty of protein. There are different protein formulas. 2 times your body weight in grams is a pretty good one. Make sure that you're getting protein and nutrients and vitamins throughout the entire day. Every few hours, it's nice to get something in you. A snack, lots of greens, lots of meat, well-rounded, lots of water. So those are all good things. Obviously, we could get very into detail about what nutrition you need, but you definitely need amino acids and protein, because that's what muscles are made of. And you need a well-rounded set of vitamins and minerals, and to be well hydrated, and to make sure that during and after exercise, your body has that quick energy accessible in order to work out and recover. So that's kind of a little nutshell version of nutrition. If you have specific nutrition questions or about supplements, creatine, whatever, just go ahead and post it down below, and we will hit that in the next videos. So I think that is it. I know I get winded on these answers, so if there's something I'm not doing or something that you'd like to see more of, just let me know, and we'll talk to you guys soon. This is Jacob Hiller from jumpmanual.com with drealday.com. Work on your game, guys.
You watched me work on my game, now it's time to work on yours. The Hoop Handbook is a series of workout programs straight from my own personal experience working out and training on every aspect of basketball. Ball handling, shooting, scoring moves, scoring over bigger defenders, the crossover, post moves, your weak hand, off the court training, dunking, vertical, all of it's covered. All you got to do is follow the program step by step. The Hoop Handbook.
This is Jacob Hiller from the Jump Manual with DreAllDay.com. Work on your game.
And as he comes back to your right, you just reach the ball right over his head and finish the shot.